Hello everyone and welcome to my review of the Tigron's Tale PTS for Paladins. First off, I want to apologize for putting off this video for so long. I've been a bit busy lately and haven't had the time to sit down and make this until now. Before I start, I want to state something pretty weird with this PTS. So yesterday the 18th, we get a PTS update with a few additional changes, and then today the 19th, we get a tweet saying that the PTS is concluded and to expect all the changes to go through to live. Oh boy. First off, I would like to preface that I am a casual Onslaught player and don't really play much competitive. That being said, I do keep up with what's viable competitively, so I'll try to take that into effect when discussing some of the changes. There are a lot of changes, so I apologize in advance if I miss something. Okay, this might be a long one, so let us begin. I just gotta say this first. The new VGS sucks. The old VGS had 176 lines, while this new one only has 38. The new VGS threatens to remove almost 80% of the current lines. Not to mention, the new button inputs are super clunky. Woohoo goes from VEW to VQR, I think. The current VGS system is pretty complicated, I'll give it that. It's taken me a while to memorize many of the commands, like VBE for enemies behind us. So I can understand why Evil Mojo would want to make it simpler for newer players. But why not just keep the old system for vets, and make it optional to use the new one? One of my favorite things in the live version of Paladins is when a match ends, your team will typically spam a variety of woohoos and awesomes. In the PTS, all I heard after winning a game was, help, 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 help. I am not alone in this opinion, as Reddit has taken to making MS Paint pieces in protest. I even made one myself in SFM. I'll say it once more, please don't go through with the new VGS. If you do go through with it, please give veterans the option to use the old system with all the commands and old button inputs. Additionally, give vets the option to create unique button inputs for the commands. Next up, we have the removal of third person and casual. I haven't seen much talk of this, probably because of the absurd VGS change. But yeah, third person is going, and I got a problem with this. I would like to preface that I only play a few champions in third person, being Khan, Genos, Victor, and Vivian. I know some people who always play in third person though, whether it's because of personal preference or a severe issue like motion sickness. One of the Paladins devs, I don't remember who, says that the reason for its removal is that the game was never meant to be played in third person, and that it causes bugs, which I think is BS. If the game wasn't meant to be played in 3P, then why add it in the first place? And if it's causing bugs, I don't know, maybe get someone to fix them? 2019 was the year of the hunt. You guys have been squashing lots of bugs, so why just give up on third person instead of fixing it? I also would like to say that as buggy as Paladins is, I've never encountered a bug relating to using third person. One last thing I hear from some in favor of removing 3P is that the mode allows for users to corner peek and therefore gain an advantage over the enemy. This is entirely true. And it's why someone smart on the team decided to disable the third-person camera in Ranked. I would also like to mention that corner peeking will still be very much possible when using emotes. About the new damage champion Tiberius. He's okay. Not my type of playstyle, but I don't see any major issues with him balance-wise. He feels fair to play as and to fight against for the most part. Moving on to the big item store changes. Oh boy. Starting credits upped from 400 to 450. Alright. Illuminate has been nerfed a bit to try and make stealth characters more viable. Sure. Resilience, reduction lowered from 30, 60, 90% to 20, 40, 60%. But the price has been lowered to compensate. I'm actually okay with this, as many talents revolving around crowd control are pretty bad currently due to resilience. Talents like Exterminate and Power Cosmium should feel a bit better to play as. Master Riding got a bit of a price reduction to 200, 400, 600. Sure, I mean, not a lot of people purchase Master Riding to begin with, so good change. Morale Boost nerfed from 15, 30, 45% to 10, 20, 30%. However, the price per level was changed to 250, 500, and 750 per level. I'd prefer if Morale Boost was untouched, but it's not the biggest deal. One change that is a big deal for me is the nerf to Nimble, going from 10, 20, 30% to 7, 14, 21%, with its price being reduced to 150, 300, 450. I don't understand what nerfing Nimble will accomplish. People love being mobile in this game, and Nimble 3 on live with the 30% boost to speed really helps some sluggish champions feel better. It might sound silly, but Nimble 3 didn't feel very impactful on the PTS compared to live. I'm hoping they just keep Nimble as is. Oh yeah, Chronos got a price reduction from 400, 800, 1200 to 300, 600, 900. Good change, I love Chronos. Now we're getting into the big ones. Bulldozer's bonus damage is going down from 50, 100, 150% to 20, 40, 60%. I'm actually fine with this as deployables aren't too common and fairly easy to deal with. However, Wrecker is getting a similar treatment with the bonus going from 75, 150, 225% to 20, 40, 60%. This also comes with every tank getting a reduction in their shield's health. To put this in perspective, on live, Khan has a 6000 HP shield. I'll use Leon as an example since her 400 damage is simple for the math. On live without Wrecker, it will take Leon exactly 15 shots to break a Khan shield. With Wrecker 1, it will take Leon 9 shots to break the shield, while with Wrecker 3, it will take Leon only 5 shots to break the shield. On the PTS, Khan's shield is 4250 HP, and Leon will take 11 shots to break it without Wrecker. With Wrecker 1 giving a 20% bonus, Leon will take 9 shots to kill a Khan shield. And with Wrecker 3 giving a 60% bonus, Leon will break a Khan shield in 7 hits. So I guess the devs did accomplish their vision for shields not to feel oppressive early game, while also not being useless in the late game. So Rejuvenate was confirmed to be getting changed, but that didn't happen on this PTS. The devs stated that they wanted to try Rejuve being at 7% per level, while the current PTS is at a measly 5% per level. Since Rejuvenate is up in the air, I won't talk about it here. Veteran is getting a price reduction to 150, 300, 450 per level, and the out-of-combat healing provided is being increased from 4, 8, 12% to 5, 10, 15%. Well, it's still pretty useless. In my opinion, Veterans should either boost personal healing via loadout cards by 5, 10, 15%, or reduce the time it takes to go out of combat by the same values. Cauterize went through a few changes, but going into live, Cauterize will reduce healing by 25% per level, maxing out at 75% less healing on level 3. While this sounds like a buff to healing, many healers have had massive nerfs to compensate, which I will cover later in the video. Okay, finally, let's move on to champion balance changes. A lot of cards were tweaked, so I will only be covering the significant card changes. Starting with the tanks. With Wrecker being nerfed, many of the shields were toned down to compensate. Initially, the shields were gutted pretty heavily, but recently all the shields were buffed to be on par. To put it simply, the new shields on the PTS are in the middle of current live shields and the initial shield changes when the PTS went live. I say they landed in a good place with these changes, and I won't be going in depth about each frontline shield. Ashe's primary fire is getting its damage lowered from 400 to 360 per shot. The Slugshot talent will now be buffing your damage back to 400. First up, I think this is a dumb change. Never in my history of playing Paladins have I heard someone say that Ashe does too much damage. If I'm correct, she already has the lowest DPS in the game, so why lower it even more? Ashe on the PTS is genuinely nothing to fear, since most of the nerfed healers can out-heal her damage. The Shoulder Bash is getting 1 second off the cooldown, making it 14 seconds, but the Gatecrasher card is having its cooldown reduction lowered from 1.2 seconds per level to 0.8 seconds per level, meaning at max level on PTS your cooldown will be 10 seconds, while on live it will be 8 seconds. So it's a bit of a nerf if you use the card, but a buff if you don't. Atlas's Chrono Cannon is having its damage lowered from 900 per burst to 750 per burst. His second chance will now send you back 4 seconds instead of the previous 5. Honestly, I wasn't feeling these nerfs too heavily on PTS. Atlas has a very solid kit that will always feel good to use. Additionally, his Phantom Pain card was changed, so now hitting an enemy with Setback reduces the cooldown of Stasis Field by 1 second per level. This new card is a must if you enjoy using Temporal Divide, and I found it a lot of fun. Up next, Barrack's Tinkering is having its damage lowered from 560 to 480. Personally, I think nerfing it to 500 would be better, since that's the damage of his normal weapon at base. Rocket Boots is getting a 10% movement speed buff, and the turret is getting a health increase to 1000, while its deploy time is going down from 3 to 2 seconds. Nice quality of life buffs. Moving out to cards, Barrack got a few interesting ones. Field Deploy now makes it so that hits with your turret heal you 30 per level. 150 health a shot if maxed out. Healing Station is having its health per second lowered from 45 to 35 a second. Bowling Ball is also getting its effect cut in half, with the shields going from 300 a level to 150 a level. Currently, Barrick's most viable playstyle revolves around Bowling Ball and Healing Station, so I could kinda understand nerfing those two and introducing the new Field Deploy card for some more loadout variety. Oh, before I forget, one of the last minute changes was to the card One Man Scrap, which used to reduce your cooldowns by 10% per level when a turret is destroyed. That card was completely busted when I played with and against it, and because of that it was nerfed to give 6% cooldown reductions, capping at 30%. I wish I could comment on if this is good or not, but I couldn't play on the PTS yesterday, so I don't know. Fernando is next with his Scorch talent dealing 30% more damage on the first target, and then 20% bonus damage on subsequent hits. I gotta admit, Fernando is one of the most boring champions for me personally, but I had a lot of fun with the partially reverted Scorch. As for his base kit, the self-slow on his flamethrower is being reduced by 15%, so he feels less sluggish. Fireball is getting a 1 second cooldown increase going up to 7 seconds. One notable card change is that the internal cooldown for the Hot Pursuit card, which gives movement speed when hitting fireballs, is going from 10 seconds to 6 seconds. Flank Nando is back, people. Watch out. Anar's Tremors talent is now being changed. When using this talent, the cooldown of Impasse gets lowered to 12 seconds, but you can't destroy your walls. Comboing this with the Summit card was a blast to play around with. The only notable change for Anar's card is a change to the Plateau card, which now gives you a 75 HP shield when you place a wall, capping at 375. I was using this card in my deck, but to be honest, I wasn't feeling it that much. While jumping around as Anara probably won't be viable competitively, it is a blast to play around with in casual. Next up is my man Khan, starting with a nerf to the Heavy Repeater. The damage is going from 200 to 180 per bullet. The Storm of Bullets talent will no longer be giving Khan 10 additional ammo. The damage nerf I wasn't feeling at all, however I was feeling the 10 less ammo on Storm of Bullets. Khan has to reload a lot now. Maybe toning it down to like 5 extra bullets would be better than nothing. Khan's Battle Shout also got a 1 second cooldown reduction, bringing it down to 14 seconds. This felt fine. One last thing for Khan, but if third person isn't coming back, I highly suggest that Khan's shield take the player into third person. It's really hard to see who you're covering with the tiny shield in first person. Oh boy, Makoa. His ultimate will always have CC immunity, regardless of talent. I know Makoa is a top priority in ranked, with Leviathan being meta due to the CC immunity. So doesn't making Makoa CC immune in his ult, regardless of talent, make him even stronger? Okay, moving on to his other nerfs. His cannon's damage is going from 650 to 500 per shot, but his ammo count is going up to 5. Dredge Anchor is getting a hefty cooldown increase going from 11 seconds to 15 seconds. And lastly, the Shell Shield is having its cooldown lowered from 16 to 15 seconds. While I haven't played Makoa on the PTS, I have seen a lot of Makoas wreak havoc with him. And he's probably still going to be banned a lot in competitive. Sorry, Koa mains. Rom is getting 2 nerfs. The Hellfire Gatling is getting its damage lowered from 45 to 40, and the damage reduction from Hellish Lodestones is going from 5% per level to 3%. Rom actually felt fine to me, and I feel like Hellish Lodestones is still going to be a must pick due to how often you could have the DR up. I was really hoping for a buff to the Subservience talent. Maybe next time. Okay, Ruckus now has 3 missiles at base. The cooldown was upped from 8 to 10 seconds, and its damage was lowered to 225 per missile. Thank you, finally! Ruckus's only viable talent was Rocket Barrage due to having 3 of the missiles. Now that's in his base kit, you are free to run other talents. Speaking of Rocket Barrage, it now increases the AoE of the rockets from 15 units to 25 units. I haven't tried it yet, but it sounds good if you enjoy using the missiles. Okay, Terminus has a really confusing change here. Reanimate is having its damage lowered from 4,000 to 2,600. Why? Reanimate already has a long cast time and can be blocked with shields. Dumb change in my opinion. Shatterfall is also getting a cooldown reduction going from 15 seconds to 12 seconds. Since he's all melee, Terminus needs his movement up more often, so I say it's a good change. Last tank here, Torvald is getting quite a few changes. His base health is going from 3,300 to 3,000, but his passive shields are being buffed from 1,800 to 2,000, so overall a nerf of 100 health. Base health is not susceptible to Wrecker, so overall this is a small nerf. Onto his abilities. Protection is getting its duration buffed from 3 seconds to 4 seconds. The cooldown is going down from 8 to 6 seconds, but the shield health will now be 1000 HP. Overall, I like the idea of having weaker shields up more often. Torvald felt a lot more active while I was playing him. The shields still do their job of saving teammates very well. Nullify is getting its duration lowered from 2.5 seconds to 2 seconds, and its range is going from 51 units to 50 units. Pack up everybody, Torvald is dead! Recharge also gets 2 changes, cooldown going from 15 seconds to 14 seconds, and the shield generation going from 2125 to 2200. Small quality of life buffs, felt fine to play with. Hyper Beam is getting a reduced tick rate to 0.1 seconds, and the damage per tick is going up to 55. Basically, Hyper Beam will now do 550 DPS, up from 425 DPS. I think. My math might be off with that one. On to talents. Field Study is getting its bonus damage lowered from 15% to 10%. I don't really see the point of this. 10% is not a lot, and protection only lasts 4 seconds. Meanwhile, Genos can be applying 15% luminary buffs to multiple teammates for 10 plus seconds. Thanks Grandpa will now increase the protection shield health by 500, making the shields have 1500 health. Kinda boring, but this will probably be the meta talent. And now for my favorite. Direct Current is being changed to double the range of Nullify, making it 100 units. This was a lot of fun to play with, as I enjoy playing with the Nullify cooldown reset build. If you didn't believe that Torvald was a support, you will now with these card changes. Time Shaper will now give your protection target 2 ammo per level, and Life Giver will now heal your protection target 75 health per level. The ammo card I could see being used, but Life Giver needs too many points to be useful. Leave the healing for an actual support. Speaking of supports, let's talk about them because oh my, these are where the most questionable changes come into effect. I'm gonna go out of order for a second and start with Genos, who is my favorite support in all of gaming. The Power Cosmium talent is getting its bonus damage increased from 360 to 480, meaning that Void Grip will now deal 840 damage over its duration instead of the previous 720. Keep in mind that Resilience is getting nerfed, so maybe Genos will have more than one viable talent. Star Splitter is getting a slight ammo increase going from 24 to 30, and Astral Mark. Oh boy. Cooldown reduced to 7 seconds, but healing reduced from 220 heals a second to a pathetic 180 heals a second. Out of all the support's healing changes, I find this one to be the most questionable. Genos already has the lowest single target healing of the supports, so why are we lowering it even more? I've played as Genos, and played with quite a few Genoses on my team, and I gotta say, his healing felt god-awful. I was relying on the out-of-combat healing to keep me topped up, even when a Genos was already healing me. In terms of Cauterize, on live, Genos will heal 22 health a second on Caut 3, while on PTS, Genos heals 45 health a second. Is losing a crucial 40 health a second in the early game worth gaining an extra 23 health in the end game? Overall, Genos' healing felt so bad that you don't even need Cauterize to counter it. Really worried for Genos next patch. Next is Furia, whose Kindle Soul cooldown is being lowered from 4 to 3 seconds, but the heal over time is being lowered from 500 to 400. A slap on the wrist for a 1 second cooldown buff. The 1 second cooldown reduction means that the 4 loadout points that would have went towards Lightforge can now be put into other cards, and there are some nice card changes to use those points on. 2 new cards. Hollowed Sight will now give 10% Wrath Charge for hitting an enemy with Pyre Strike, while the new Lightforge card reduces the cooldown of Pyre Strike by 5 seconds when healing with Kindle Soul. The card has an internal cooldown of 20 seconds, but can be reduced to 5 seconds at level 5. Combo these cards with the buff to Solar Blessing, where the beam moves 30% slower, and Furia is looking to be very fun and strong next patch. Grover next. One of the last minute changes, Blossom's heal got reduced from 900 to 800. However, its range was increased by 33%. I can't comment on the 800 healing from Blossom since it was a last minute change, but the talent Rampant Blooming had its bonus 150 healing a second lowered to a measly 100. This felt really weak on the PTS. One notable card change is to Fatalis, which now reduces the cooldown of Blossom by 0.6 seconds per level when hitting someone with Crippling Throw. Not sure if this card will get run a lot since Grover doesn't have a lot of loadout variety. Io is getting a slew of nerfs. Lunar Leap is getting its cooldown increased to 12 seconds, Luna's stun will now have a hefty 18-second cooldown. These longer cooldowns can be played around and probably won't change too much. However, Moonlight gets its healing nerfed from 1000 a second to 800 a second. While this doesn't sound like a huge nerf, it means Io has to spend more time healing than she used to, making her feel like a babysitter healer. And if you guys watch my Overwatch streams, you will know that I hate babysitter healers. Well, what about the lifelink talent, the one you pick if you don't want to babysit? Healing reduced from 300 to 180. I've already talked about why 180 healing is bad, so I won't repeat myself. I would also like to say that I didn't see any IO players on PTS pick lifelink, which is weird since it's picked so much on live. Goddess Blessing is next, with an odd nerf. The damage reduction is going from 25% to 15%. Okay, I understand that DRIO is really strong in ranked, but what I also understand is that when IO released, Goddess's Blessing gave 15% damage reduction, and people said it was weak. And on the current PTS it felt weak again. Maybe 20% damage reduction would feel impactful while not feeling oppressive to fight. In terms of notable card changes, Moonwalk now increases your Moonlight capacity by 6% per level. Good card, but it kinda encourages that babysitter playstyle, which isn't my cup of tea. Maldamba. Wakono's curse is gone, and replaced with a boring healing talent, Ripened Gourd, which now doubles the healing done by Gourd. Why replace one of the most fun talents in Paladins with just another bonus healing talent? What confuses me even more is that Maldamba already has Spirit's Chosen, which is also getting nerfed with the bonus healing going from 300 to 200. While Ripened Gourd is a useful talent that provides a lot of healing, I found it really boring when I played with it. In case it wasn't obvious, Wakono's Curse is my favorite talent from Maldamba, and I'm probably not going to play him anymore when this goes live. Other Maldamba changes include Mending Spirit's healing being nerfed to 250 a second. I can't really comment on this since most Dambas were using Ripened Gourd. Oh, and the one notable card change is the change to Snake Pit, which now increases your move speed by 2% per level, up to 10% more move speed at max level. Wow, what a pointless card. 5 points just to have Nimble 1? The old Snake Pit was the card that increased your reload speed by 5% per level. Reload speed is one of the biggest things to factor in when playing Damba, so why replace one of his most useful cards with one of the most pointless? Everyone's favorite flanker, Pip, was also subject to some changes. The biggest one is the nerf to the healing potion. It now heals 1000 health instead of the previous 1200. However, I would like to mention, on the PTS, I think I encountered a bug where the potion was healing my allies 1000, while healing myself the previous 1200. I also got this interesting glitch while trying to clarify the numbers. Wait, healing potion heals for 1000 now? Oh, it does. What happened to my screen? Oh god, Pip took off his glasses, I can't see! Yeah, I got locked out of clicking anything after that match and had to end my stream right there. Yeah, the 1000 health on Healing Potion. I don't really like it. Healing Potion already has a hefty 8-second cooldown, so the burst heals were to make up for it. I guess speaking of cooldowns, Pip gets a new card, Acrobatics Trick, which reduces the cooldown of Healing Potion by 0.1 seconds per level when hitting your primary fire. Maybe with this card the reduced healing for Pip will make more sense. Ugh, finally, last support, Ceres. Ammo increased to 14. Shadow Travel now has a 0.8 second cast time and increases your move speed by 25% at base now. Restore Soul has had its healing lowered from 2000 to 1400, but its cooldown was lowered to 2 seconds at base. Ignoring the healing nerf for a second, these are all really good. Ceres finally gets some loadout diversity with the points that would have been needed in Veil and Soulforge. However, like all the others, the nerf to healing I don't understand. Ceres is the epitome of a healbot support, so why nerf the one aspect of her kit that she's good at? One notable card change I want to mention is the change to Sorceress, which now increases your ultimate charge by 5% per level. You can have 25% increased ultimate charge without needing to buy morale boost. I can't speak for the healing nerf because when I played Ceres, her healing was bugged to heal for 2000, but Ceres with Soul Collector then felt really fun to play. Now onto the flank class, starting with Androxus. One nice quality of life, Netherstep moves 10% further now. Andro also gains 2 new cards being Featherweight and Quick Draw. Quick Draw will now increase your max ammo by 1 per level, meaning that you can have 11 shots on Andro now. I love this, and Andro felt a lot more forgiving to play on the PTS. I really hope Lex gets a similar card, as I don't see a reason to pick him over Andro. Featherweight is supposed to heal Andro 50 health a second per level while floating, which I think will be very strong, but the card wasn't working when I was testing the PTS, so we'll have to wait and see. Eevee's Keep Moving card now boosts max health by 30 per level, which finally gives Eevee players an option to increase her max HP. Now, one card change I really don't like is the nerf to Flicker. The heal is being reduced from 75 per level to 50 per level. At max level on live, Flicker will heal Eevee for 375, while on PTS it only heals for 250. I understand that Wormhole is Eevee's strongest and most annoying talent, and that running Flicker at max is essential for that build. However, I would argue that having Flicker at a high level is essential for any Eevee deck, as her only other self-sustain option is from the Ice Block, which makes you an easy target. Eevee felt very frail on the PTS with the lower healing from Flicker. If they do have to nerf it, maybe try giving the card an internal cooldown of 5 seconds to prevent it from being OP with Wormhole, while still maintaining its power with other talents. Nini Koga is getting a slew of buffs, base health going from 1900 to 2000, SMGs getting reduced spread and damage fall off. Combo this with the new Memento card, which increases your ammo by 10 per level, and you are a force to reckon with while using your SMGs. Dragon Stance now costs 20 energy to enter, but the decay rate was lowered by 40%. Overall, Koga gets both Dragon Fangs and the Adrenaline Junkie talent buffed. Unfortunately, Blood Reaper is still a thing. Lex got a few buffs to his cards, but nothing too notable. Maeve gets a new card, and arguably her strongest one yet. Predation now reduces the cooldown of Prowl by 0.2 seconds each time you hit a dagger, capped out at 1 second per dagger, and Maeve can be constantly resetting the cooldown of Prowl for more bonus damage via Cat Burglar. Honestly, I think this card needs a nerf. Maybe to 0.1 seconds per level, capping at a 0.5 second cooldown reduction per dagger. Moji is getting some tweaks to her talents, starting with Boom Boom. The damage done by the explosion is reduced from 1000 to 750. Toot can no longer be stacked. And Snack Attack got nerfed. The healing was reduced from 800 to 600, and the Snack Drop can now be picked up by allies. If you want to heal your allies as Moji, just go with Toot. You can heal multiple teammates at once, and you don't even need to kill an enemy first. Silicone Sky finally got a buff relating to Smoke and Dagger! The base healing on the talent was reduced from 400 heals a second to 200 heals a second. However, the healing now benefits Sky herself. Additionally, any cards Sky has relating to Smokescreen will now apply to her teammates. Using Smoke and Dagger will also increase the duration of the Smoke Bomb by 1 second. Onto card changes, Healing Vapor's got its heal over time buffed from 100 to 135 per level, meaning that with Healing Vapors 5 and Smoke and Dagger, Sky can heal herself and her team for 537.5 health a second. Sky also gains one new card being Spectre, which now grants 4 ammo when entering the smoke screen. This can only apply when you're outside of the smoke for 4 seconds. I tried this card once and I found it to be pointless. Since Sky can reset the cooldown of her smoke screen, teams tend to spend a lot of time in the smoke for the healing and movement speed. By never leaving the smoke for 4 seconds, this card barely gets value. I think a better change for this card would be to generate 2 ammo per second while standing in the smoke screen. But overall, Smoke and Dagger is finally viable and super fun to play with. Talus got some card changes, I guess. And last of the flanks, Xin. The piercing effect and extended range from Yomi is now going into his base kit. Billow is getting its duration increased from 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds. Wow. Like Makoa, this finally gives Xin some talent diversity. Smolder finally feels usable again. Xin currently is a destroyer of uncoordinated teams, so those of you in the low ranks might want to ban him even more in the coming patch. Let's finish up with the damages. Bomb King now has a card to increase his stun by 0.1 seconds per level. Hooray, Flash and Fan combo and Paladins. Cassie is getting a cooldown increase on her dodge roll, going from 5 seconds to 7 seconds. I don't play a lot of Cassie. My only issue with her is the burst combo she could do with her Primary Fire and Blast Shot. The only nerf I want to see with Cassie is a small delay after using Blast Shot. This way we could ditch the annoying burst combo which does 1380 damage. Not much for Dredge and Drogos except a few card tweaks. But my girl, Bald Bitch Imani got hella buffs! Both Primary Fires will now always fire from the middle of the screen and no longer have mid-air inaccuracy. Elemental Shift got its cooldown lowered from 8 seconds to 6. Frostbomb's projectile speed was buffed to move at 60 units a second, up from 40. But the root duration was lowered from 1.5 seconds to 1 second. And the big ones. Frostfire Glide now lasts for 4 seconds, up from 3, the ability moves much faster at base, and you could ascend vertically much easier now. Heckin' finally! My main Amani feels so good to play on the PTS now that she has a viable movement option. Removing the midair inaccuracy is huge, as you could land direct shots after exiting Glide. The only major thing Amani needs now is a buff to Pyromania, as she doesn't really have a talent for her fire stance. Also, just a personal wish, but I wish Amani had a card that reduced the cooldown of Frostfire Glide while hitting shots with Inferno Cannon. Kinetra is getting some small buffs. Oppressor Mines now have 200 health, the range is being increased to 50 units, and they now do 25 damage per tick, meaning they now do 125 DPS, up from 100. Her Teleporter and Sniper mode are also getting really tiny reductions in their charge times. I only play Kinetra to meme, but it is nice to see her mines get a few buffs. They're still going to be the worst ability in the game though. We don't talk about Leon on this channel, she didn't get anything significant anyways. Okay, Shaolin got some huge changes, but he is confirmed to be getting some nerfs in the next update, so I won't talk about him now. Strix. Strix is nerfed! Base health lowered to 2000. Pistol damage going from 220 to 165. Woo! You can finally dive Strix now. The ammo count on his pistol was increased to 15, and the inaccuracy was lowered by 20%. Unauthorized use is getting nerfed too! The flare will now deal 500 damage instead of the absurd 800. Crackshot has also been replaced with the worst talent I've seen in the game. It's so bad I'm not even going to talk about it. Finally happy to see Strix getting some nerfs. I'm worried that he will still feel oppressive due to not needing to charge his sniper shots, but I guess time will tell. At least flankers will finally have the upper hand when fighting him now. Tyra is getting a slight rework. Her rifle is getting its damage lowered from 120 to 105 per shot. Her ammo is going from 26 to 35, damage falloff at range was reduced by 18%, and her weapon spread was lowered by 5%. I gotta say, having more shots in Tyra's gun without needing a loadout card felt very nice. I think she's going to be my victor of choice based on this alone. Moving on, Firebomb is getting the cooldown lowered from 18 seconds to 15 seconds. However, it no longer will reduce enemy healing unless you run the changed Burn Monster. Burn Monster had its damage bonus lowered from 50% to 30% and now applies a 60% reduced healing effect. I tried using Burn Monster, and personally I feel like Hunting Party and Mercy Kill are better options. Botox Victor got a nerf on cardio, with it now healing 300 health a second. This won't stop them from running. Vivian's Suspect Everyone is being reworked, and I think it's pointless. The new Suspect Everyone increases your deflector shield health by 350, and halves the cooldown if it's destroyed by an enemy. The cooldown reduction can only happen every 9 seconds. Okay, why is this pointless? When Vivian puts up her shield, you could shoot her toesies. Unfortunately, Opportunity and Chaos is still going to be her best talent. I was kinda hoping for a talent that would make sensor drones work like turrets, or maybe one that makes Vivian's shield bigger, but it deploys on the ground for a mock Frontline playstyle. Well, for now, we got this pointless talent. Okay, last up, Willow. Dead Zone cooldown is going to 16 seconds, and the Blast Flower talent is being nerfed. It's getting its duration lowered from 5 seconds to 3, and the bonus damage is being lowered to 80 per shot, meaning that hitting all 3 shots will give you 240 bonus damage instead of the previous 300. Willow seems difficult for the team to balance due to her forgiving weapon and the immense strength of Dead Zone. With these changes, I think she'll be okay, but one change I am not okay with is the change to the photosynthesis card. Previously, this card gave Willow 10% bonus movement speed per level after activating Seedling. I ran this card at 40% increased speed, so that I could use my Seedlings as a second movement ability, which was a really fun way to play Willow as you could use the Seedling to engage and use Flutter to run away. The new card increases the Seedling's projectile speed by 6% per level. Lame. Finally done. I've never done a patch review video before, so let me know what you guys think of this in the comments. Also let me know what you guys think of all these crazy balance changes. Overall, I really appreciate the direction the devs are trying to take Paladins in, and I have an insane amount of respect for the devs actually listening to player feedback and following up on it. If you guys have any criticisms of the PTS patch, please reach out to the devs on social media. They do see it. I'm YellowNinja, and peace. His base health
is going from 3,300 to 3,000, but his passive.
His base... My god, I did it again.